So I have a good friend, and I'm watching anime with them weekly, and they're just now starting their anime journey. They've watched a few in the past, but they haven't really become a fan of anime. They keep asking me, hey, what should I watch from this genre? What should I watch from that genre? And I think the most asked for genre from most of my friends is romance because it's a genre that you can flirt a fine line between what's romance and what's kind of not really considered romance and shouldn't be on TV, if you kind of catch what I'm saying. So there's a lot of really good anime out there that are just strictly romance, and they're just cute and they're fun and they're emotional and they're beautiful stories. The first one I'm going to mention is Horimiya, and I think this is probably my favorite romance anime show. It's a beautiful, simplistic, just kind of a natural blooming romance between a high school boy and a high school girl. There is kind of nothing anime trope like in this show, so I think it's a beautiful starter anime, especially on the romance side of things. It's also a great way to segue if you've never watched romance, but maybe you've watched a lot of shonen like Naruto, My Hero, One Piece, all of those kinds of things, but you've never ventured into the romance land. Horimiya is a great way to get your start. Doesn't have any fan service, doesn't have anything weird anime like that gets associated with this genre. It's just a cute story about a boy and a girl who fall in love. It's a completed story. It's very short, it's very quick, and it's very clean. All right, the next one I'm going to mention is My Dress Up Darling. And the only reason this one is not the first one that I mention usually for starter romance anime is there is some fan service in this. And a lot of people who are newer to anime, they kind of get turned off by that a little bit. Now, the story itself is absolutely beautiful. So, Marin Kitagawa, the girl that you see on your screen right now, is one of the most likable characters I have ever seen in anime. Part of her whole personality is basically allowing people to enjoy what they love and not making fun of people for enjoying what they love. Now, the story in this show is she's a cosplayer, but she's terrible at making her cosplays. One of her classmates, Wakana Gojo, works in a doll shop. His grandfather is a doll maker. And so he's really good with kind of makeup and hairstyling as well as cutting up clothes and altering clothes and things like that. So they decide to work together, and he basically becomes her personal stylist. Through that adventure, she starts to realize how nice of a person he is and how wonderful he is, just loving what he's doing, working with her and supporting her. It's a beautiful little story. It has about 12, 13 episodes right now. There is a season 2 confirmed. We don't know when, but the manga is still ongoing. It's, got a lot of time or a lot of chapters left to be adapted into an anime. So it's got a good future ahead of it. The third show and the final actual show I'm going to mention is Your Lie in April. Now, this is probably one of the most well-known romance anime out there. A lot of people say, hey, watch this. It's April again. Let's watch this show every April. It's got one of the most well-known anime openers of all time, Hikaru Nara. I probably mispronounced that, so I apologize, but it's a beautiful song. Basically, the story is he used to be a child prodigy piano player, and she is a violinist. Now, he stopped playing piano because of some childhood trauma. I don't want to spoil anything, but he ended up stopping. He fell out of love with music. She wants to get him back in love with music. So she finds a way to start working him into some duets with her, and they end up building a relationship based off of that. Now, there is an emotional twist towards the end of this show, so be fully prepared for that, but it's a beautiful story, about 24, 25 episodes, well worth the watch. So the last one I'm going to mention is Your Name, and this is what I believe is the most beautiful anime movie, possibly one of the most beautiful movies in general that I have ever seen in my life. Makoto Shinkai, the director of this, is an absolute legend when it comes to anime movies. He's made a ton of productions. All of them pretty much are well known and well regarded as beautiful stories. So the story behind this one, essentially, she lives in a very remote kind of countryside town. He lives in, I believe it's Tokyo, but a very big city in Japan. She one day wishes that she could be a boy living a life in Tokyo. And she ends up swapping places with him for a day. So he wakes up in her body, she wakes up in his body, full on Freaky Friday style. They live each other's lives for the day, they go to sleep, and then they wake up back in their own bodies. And they're like, okay, that's probably just some weird dream. There's no way that was real, but everybody around them is telling them they were acting weird the day before. They eventually find out that that was a real experience, and they start to communicate with each other through notes on their phone and through different notes that they leave around their rooms, and trying to work with each other on how to live each other's lives properly. They set ground rules in place. They end up falling in love for each other through learning what's going on in their character by living their other selves' life. He ends up trying to go find her, only to find quite the emotional twist and quite the interesting twist on the story when he tries to chase her down. It's a beautiful story, beautiful love story, about an hour and a half long, has one of the most well-known scenes in all of anime right at the end on a staircase, and it's absolutely worth the hour and a half. I would highly recommend everyone and anyone, whether you're a fan of anime and romance in general or not, watch this movie. So I know this video was kind of long. I made this video about 15, 20 times before I just gave up on trying to make it short. I tried to keep to the 3-minute timer, but I just couldn't do it. As you see, we're well over 5 minutes. But I gave you 3 of my favorite romance anime shows and what I believe to be the greatest anime movie of all time, which is also a romance. Let me know what your thoughts are on any of these. Are there any others that I should have included? And what would be the next genre or list that you want me to make?